Thank you for being here.
Of course, we're so excited.
All right,
This is going to happen
So
a
that
lot.
was one of the questions is, do you guys actually finish each other's sentences?
all the time.
Yep.
It's getting a little unhealthy, I think.
No, I think it is.
We should spend some time apart. That's what we've learned.
Oh my gosh. We're moving in together and like, I mean, we live together right now, but we
Okay.
move in like 2 weeks and it's literally just going to be us two.
It's
And I don't
new.
know if I can handle that. That's just too much of like
Therapy
each other.
might have to get involved.
Gotcha.
Twin therapy?
Yeah, some twin therapy might be needed.
So you guys have never lived by yourselves, just the two of you?
Ever.
No.
Oh, wow.
Very scary.
Nervous.
And-
I don't. You know what it is? It's just a lot of like we have to pay bills. I have to worry about rent. Like I know do my laundry and clean the dishes. Like fortunately, where we've lived in the past, we've had help from like others to do that kind of stuff. So now it's like fully our responsibility to be adults and
Like I
remember those
learning
things that you should be doing.
Yeah, we're 21 and it's like, that's still pretty young.
That's very young.
Yeah, it's young.
Yeah, it's young.
And I'm like, now I get why people don't want to grow up. You don't want to pay taxes. You don't want to pay your rent. I'm like, I hate this.
Do you do your own laundry?
Well,
We're gonna start.
Who did it up
We
until
know
now?
how to. Well, luckily the house that we're in, they had some
they had
help,
help.
but
Okay.
we know how to, which is good. When we were living with our mom and dad, my mom would be like, "Okay, laundry day for one of you."
Yeah,
so we
we'd go do
kind
it.
of got the hang of
Who's
it.
dividing up the tasks? Like, is one of you more logistical and rent and taxes? Is one of you more
See,
Can I
around
be
the house?
honest?
Yeah.
Everything kind of relies on Ozra's back, and I'm just there.
thank you. Okay, now where she's
That's
admitting
honest.
We've had
it.
this argument for
At
a
least
while.
she's
and
honest.
I'll give her the
You're
credit.
just there.
Yeah.
just- I'm
You
the
know what
helping hand.
I always say, like for our TikTok or like all of our like social media, it's Aisha's the face and I'm like the background work. Like without me, like nothing's really going on, but like you
But without
help
me
it,
either,
nothing's going on. So it's like
team.
Gotcha.
teamwork.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, it's great that you have that self-awareness and you figured it out this
Oh, yeah.
early.
Right?
Some people don't figure this out their whole life.
I know. We're
You
like
know
a
what?
married couple.
I've been pushing it off, but I've accepted it, and I'm okay with it.
Similar, same. I mean, I feel like we have a similar dynamic. Like Jay's like the looks and the wisdom, and I'm the plus one. So I think it works
we'll be
well.
good friends. Yeah, we'll be good friends. We'll have a lot to relate to.
That's
The sooner you can come to terms with it, life just becomes easier.
Easier. That's true.
it's awesome to have you guys here, and even just the dynamic already. Like I love this, but I love how open you are about how it's hard work. Like being business partners,
course.
being creators together,
Definitely.
being sisters, like add that to the mix. What part of that relationship is the easiest and what part of the relationship is the hardest?
Ooh, one thing I feel like we've lost since we've started doing social media is like we forget we're siblings, like we're actually sisters. Like sometimes we become
notice that
too
we'll
much of
just-
business partners
yeah.
and like we work too much that like we only see each other as like I don't want to say employees, but like
There
like,
are
we get our
times
work
where I'll
done.
be in my room and she'd be like, "Oh, look, let's do something." I'm like, "Well, if you want me to come to your room, let's like film something and bank it out, and then let me go do my own thing." So it's like we're not spending time together as
sisters
It's
anymore.
more like let's do some work together, and then when we're
Yeah.
done, let's just go do our own thing. And it's kind of
Which
like
is
we
sad.
lost that a little bit.
Yeah.
But the great thing is that having a partner in crime, which I'm sure you guys understand and know, like you can split the work amongst the both of you, and things just become easier. It's two brains working together.
Yeah.
You bounce off of each other's ideas. So that's been one of the greatest things that
Definitely.
we've had on our side, like a big plus.
Yeah,
Which is
definitely.
great.
Yeah.
And what's it like if one of you get into like a serious relationship? Does that change the dynamic for you guys? Or
So when it comes to relationships, we are Muslim, so dating isn't really like a thing. And when we are interested in talking to someone, it's more of a private thing that we don't showcase.
Yeah.
But I will say, like, there are times where, like, let's say, like, I'll make a friend and I'll be hanging out with my friend more than her. It'll be like me kind of
I know you're
someone
thinking
kind
about
of
a
taking me
situation.
away from her.
For me, I'm very different. I'm very reliant on her, which is something I've noticed the past like year.
Yeah.
Because like she's made like a couple of friends that she's really close with, and I'm close with them as well, but I'm not like best friends with them. And like she'll go out of her way and like hang out with them, and then I'm like, well, I don't want to like third wheel or like tag along because like I'm not that close. So I'll just stay home. And then I'm like, but I miss her. So I'm like, it
Yeah.
becomes so weird. Like we were very, I wouldn't say like relationships we don't really get into because of like
Yeah.
our religion and stuff, but like I guess like a close friend or something like that.
We'll definitely get
in the
between
way.
us,
Yeah.
which is unhealthy. But we're working with
on
it.
it.
We're trying to work on it.
When you were young, you guys were like judged against each other, right? A lot of comparison, a lot of
Oh, yeah.
competition. Like,
Still.
and that's really hard to go through. I mean, when you have that with the person you're closest to in one
Yeah,
sense, who
exactly.
knows you better than anyone, but you seem to have both found a very genuine, honest way of talking about these things and
Very
figuring it out.
much.
Like you can see that you're both like working on it. How did you deal with that, especially when you were younger? Obviously now you're older and you've had time to work on it, but what was hardest about it when you were young?
Ooh. I will say, I think it's easiest when people have siblings. They kind of are like, oh, we know what it's like. Like our sibling, we always get compared to our siblings. I'm like, yes, completely, I understand that. But when it comes to twins specifically, it's like you can't help but compare because you're gonna want to point out the things that are different, especially when it comes to identical twins. We look super alike, we do things alike, we talk the same, we dress alike. So it's like when people do find things that are slightly different, it's easy for them to just be like, oh, this one is, you know, a little chubbier than this one, or this one has a bigger nose. It's just like easier for people to make comments, which can definitely tear us down, and it did for a while. But I think, you know, we both kind of over time learned that we are two different people. As much as we, you know, were one little cell at one point, we are two different people now. So I feel like we definitely, I feel like since we moved to LA is when like it was a really big turning point for that, because like when we started doing social media and everything like that, there's so many comments, and of course there's haters that want to like just write something mean because they're having a bad day. So like we would always get compared to like, she's the prettier one, she's the uglier one. And for a while, like both of us were like we start to believe it. We get really sad, and like we never blame each other. Like it was a very like, I don't want to say depressing time, but we learned a lot about ourselves, and that's why I feel like now we're so comfortable with it, because we understand like, yeah, we're different. That's not a bad thing. So yeah, it was definitely an adjustment, especially when we moved out here. Yeah. Over time, we've learned.
So Jay and I are both Indian, so we have like, you know, lots of common.
That's the closest thing of us being twins.
But I think, you know, what we share all in common is like we all come from conservative cultures. And so what about like the cultural aspect in what you do? Because that was another difficult thing for me. It was kind of untraditional, to say the least, you know, to become a content creator, to build a platform, you know, being Indian. So what's that like? Like, how does being Muslim intersect with you being like a content creator and in the limelight?
Yeah, I feel like, well, we're half Albanian, half Pakistani too, so browns. Yeah, growing up, it was very, very interesting because we started doing like videos on like just our like flip cameras, like growing up, of like fake music videos. We put like our mom's clothes on and stuff like that. And she'd post them on Facebook. She thought it was so cute. And they obviously thought it was a joke. And then once we started like going to like middle school, high school, we're like, oh, like we kind of want to do YouTube. Like, want to be YouTubers. My mom and my dad were like, no, like you're not putting yourself online. Like, that is scary. Same. We don't know, like, which understandable a little bit. We were like 13. Definitely. Like, it's a little bit of a scary place. Young.
Right.
For them, they thought we were just doing it like out of a hobby, which it was. And then we're like, oh, we kind of like want to turn this into a job. And then they got scared. They're like, I'm sorry, what? Like, you need to finish school. You need to get your degree. You need to get a job. So for them, real job, they always say. Real job. So for them, it was very, and especially like for their family, they're all like calling my parents like, what are your daughters doing? And then my mom doesn't know what to say because like she knows it makes us happy, and my dad knows it makes us happy, so they don't want to be like, no, don't do it. But it was very interesting once we started taking it more seriously. And then when we actually like were like, we want to move to LA, and we ended up dropping out of school, which we never told our dad about.
You were in a small town at this time.
Yeah, so we were still in New York.
Okay.
And when we started blowing up on TikTok, that's when we were like, we want to move to LA. And for my parents, it was like, you don't move out till you're married. Like we have two older sisters, and they're both married. And you know, it's like, get your degree, find a husband, move in with him. That's when you'll leave the house. Yeah. Which I'm sure you guys were.
Yeah, we get that.
Yeah, you guys probably had the same thing growing up, or like something similar. Yeah. So, but like, you know what's great is that our parents, when you know, they kind of moved with the times, which I'm so grateful for, because sometimes there are families where the parents might be, you know, a little bit more closed off or traditional, where they don't want to be open-minded to doing things that are outside of the culture, but our parents were. So when they saw that, you know, it was a job and we were, you know, it was work and it took time, they were like, okay, let's just see what it could be. It was a scary thing for them, obviously. But when we first came out to California, we did drop out of college and we didn't tell our dad. And we told our mom because we were scared. We were like, okay, someone's got to know in the family that we're not getting a degree. So my mom goes, oh, like, if you think that's what's best, like, I trust you, but I'm not telling your dad anytime soon. I'm like, please don't. He's going to make us come home. He thought, because after COVID, everything was online. Yeah. So he was like, oh, like, he would call us once in a while, like, how's school? We're like, good. It's all online. It's all online. You have a lot of homework?
It's on TikTok.
But yeah, it was a very interesting time.
Yeah. Well, it's funny to me that a lot of people in college now are looking to create careers as creators.
Yeah.
And so I think, like, you can literally get a 4-year degree just creating content in a single year with as fast as life has moved for you guys.
Yeah. I always say, I'm like, coming to LA and I mean, just doing like what we do now, just content creating, and the amount that I've learned just like by
going to events and like just talking to people, networking, meeting people, and like understanding that, I've learned way more than I ever did going to school. Like, it's so sad to say, because like obviously stay in school, go to college, it's great. Like depending what your job is, but for us, it was just like that wasn't
Luckily,
really
it wasn't a necessity.
Yeah, definitely. I think you're spot on that the amount of business experience and real world experience that creators are getting today.
100%.
You're exposed to every industry. You're exposed to all different forms of business, whether it's an agency, whether it's a partnership, whether it's a huge company or a startup. You're coming up with your own ideas. I couldn't agree with you more. But what I find fascinating about all of that is you said your parents kind of came on this journey with you.
Yes.
And how did it feel? I'm guessing when your dad did, he does know, right?
He knows now.
He's finding out through this podcast.
Imagine.
So, we're gonna send him this podcast.
Hey, Dad, just so you know,
Dad,
they dropped
Just
out of
a little
school.
breaking the news right now.
but like he knows now. Like, how did it feel to be trusted by your mom? You said your mom said, "I trust you."
Yeah.
And then also, what at least what I've gained from watching you and listening to you on this, and we have is you've maintained that trust. Like you've also
course.
tried to honor that trust.
Yes.
And that I think is beautiful. But as a kid, what did it feel like to be trusted by your mother? And what was it like when you told your dad?
We stick to our morals. Like whatever we were raised thinking and believing, we stick to it. We believe it. We know what's right, what's wrong. So one thing we always said was we're so grateful for how our mom and dad raised us, because like I get nervous. I'm like, I hope I raise my kids as great as they did for us, because I know right from wrong. I know what I believe and I know what I don't. So for the longest time, like especially coming out here, it's very easy to get influenced by things that are wrong to me. I just knew I had my parents' trust to be like, if I'm putting you in a spot where I know you can easily turn your head and do something stupid, you have to understand that I'm putting that trust in you. So we were like, you know what, like we're gonna stick to our morals. We wanted to. We believe, you know, there's right from wrong. So, and plus we have each other to keep each other in check. So if I see that she's doing something that I don't like, or vice versa, we can be like, would you be doing that when you're back at home? You know what I mean? So we've stuck to that, being out here for 2 years, and we're very strong-minded people. We just, you know, believe what we believe, and we're just grateful for our parents to like have raised us that way.
And it was so interesting because growing up, it was very like, it's so funny to think, because like when we first moved out here, we moved in with like 5 or 6 roommates, and like there was a lot of guys, and like normally for us, like obviously you don't do that kind of stuff. So like when we were little, not little, but like just middle school and high school, like if I had a guy friend, his name on my phone would be like a girl's name. Like my friend Christian, his name on my phone was Christina, because if it popped up and my dad was like hovering over my phone and he saw Christian, who's that? Who you talking to?
He'd be like, why is Domino's calling you?
Domino's 1, 2, and 3. It's like all these different people.
So it's just crazy to see the transition that they even had with us, and like them now being comfortable with us having guy friends, or like they even call us sometimes and they're like, where is this one? Where's this one? And I'm like, I never thought I'd see the day where my parents are asking like where my guy friends are and how they are, you know?
Right.
But they've come such a long way, and like makes me like so happy. And I think it's also because we trusted like them so much with how much we tell them, that I think they are trusting us more, that like our relationship with them has gotten so much better.
Yeah, no, that's incredible. I know a lot of people, such as us, we've had the challenge with trying to get our parents to be a little bit comfortable with what we're doing and maintaining that trust. But for a lot of others, maybe their parents are on board, but it becomes more challenging to know when not to sacrifice your morals because of peer pressure. Of course. Like peer pressure is something that I know so many young people, but also people in their 20s or 30s, like older people, deal with as well. I remember the first time I ever had a drink, or the first time I did anything that would be considered like taboo, was because of peer pressure. It was because a friend or someone that I thought was like cooler than me was doing something that I thought I needed to fit in. So how do you manage like the friend aspect and the other creator aspect? Because you guys are doing lots of collaborations, and we're at a place now in social media especially where you kind of have to push the boundaries, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people, in order to stand out and in order to get more engagement, they're wearing more revealing clothing, or they're doing things that maybe they ordinarily like wouldn't do, or put them in a certain light. How do you find the courage to be able to tell your friends and other popular creators, like, I don't feel comfortable with doing something like this?
It's happened a lot, actually. So luckily, I will say now, like, over the past year around, we've established an amazing friend group that completely understand like what we believe. And, you know, they don't push those boundaries. But earlier on, when we were trying to explain that to other friends that we just met in LA, it was a bit harder for them to grasp the idea of like just drinking in general, or posting a video of like us kissing a guy. And it was like, no, we don't do that. You know what I mean? I remember there's one time where I filmed a video with a guy, and I posted it, and it was like a video of me getting close to kissing a guy, but me turning my head. And my mom called me right away, goes, "This is disgusting. Like you would
take
never
it
post this,
down."
take it down." And I was like, you know what? Like, you're so right. I never like, would have posted this. Like, that's not something that I would normally do. So that pressure did kind of, influence at moments. But, over time, we finally learned, like, we sit down and be like, we know that us a year and a half ago or 2 years ago wouldn't be happy with us posting this or want to or even feel comfortable doing it.
Yeah.
So why do it now?
Right.
So it came with time, and we even learned. We made mistakes. We made like mistakes when it comes to filming and
like sharing what
sharing
we should or what
information,
we
right?
shouldn't. Yeah. I feel like we both have found like the balance now of like what we should show online and what we shouldn't.
100%.
But like one thing that was so like hard because like before we moved to LA or everything like that, we like smoke hookah. Like that's something that's very cultural for us. Like we do it all the time. We do it with our family. Everyone knows we do it. But we never really showed it online until like the past year. Like we'd like show like us smoking hookah in the background. And so many comments are like, "Oh my God, the twins have changed. They smoke now. They're terrible
this, they're
examples. Like they've changed. LA's changed them and all this stuff." And I'm like, no, I was actually doing it for like a really long time. I just never showed it on camera. But now I'm comfortable enough to do it, and you think I changed. So then we're like, should we even show it anymore? Because like some people are just going to be really negative. But like we're both like, but we've been doing it for a long time. It's just like
it gets in your head.
It gets in your head.
Sometimes
Yeah.
we both think like, have
Did
we
we
changed?
change? I don't know.
And then like I'll start to sweat and get nervous, and I'm like, oh my God, like I'm such a bad person. I'm like, also with time, everyone grows as people. We're gonna
everyone
change
changes.
regardless.
Yeah.
Whether it's in a bad or good way, like it happens. So
Yeah.
I was just like,
Yeah, I think
learn from
Jay-Z said something like everyone was coming up to him saying, you've changed. And it's like, I didn't become so successful to stay the same.
Yeah.
That-
Oh,
it
wow,
doesn't
yeah.
make-
Yeah.
People treat change as if it's a bad thing, but
right.
that's all a part of life.
exactly.
So,
Yeah. What I think is really powerful though is that you were raised with these values, but it sounds like you didn't just keep them because it would make your parents happy. You kept them because you internalized them and you felt they were your values. And I think that's really powerful because I think a lot of us, we grow up and we keep our parents' values our entire lives.
Right.
Only to then feel like we're not who we want to be.
Right.
But it's beautiful to see that you guys are like, oh no, we actually do agree with this
100%.
and we're going to hold on to it. I know, Aisha, you've been doing therapy.
Yes.
And you've opened that world up, and Azra, you haven't, right?
I
as far as I
haven't.
know, right? And so I wanted to understand, like, how does that
The
work?
changes
when,
are
like-
obvious, by the way. I'm just kidding.
I'm like, I'll recommend you my therapist.
This is
It's very
actually Aisha's
clear.
intervention. We're bringing a therapist out.
Right. I'm like, it's about time.
She wants twin therapy. I get it now.
But I want to know how that works as a dynamic because, like you said, you've started to build different friendships. You've started to find your own identities and your own
Yes.
individuality. Therapy is a part of that, and you're starting to make these choices. How has therapy impacted your life? Where did it come from? Does she try and be your therapist sometimes? And then how do you react?
Does she tell you every day you need therapy?
Yes. Oh my God, I do. It's so
actually.
bad.
She's that person.
I'm like, I have a good person for you. She's great. Something that I learned about myself and with my therapist kind of like reassuring it to me was like, it's not a problem to be quiet as a person. Like for a long time, I kind of was like, oh, it's a bad thing. But I've learned that like, that's me. Like there's nothing wrong with me. Like there's nothing wrong with it. Like if I feel that way, like I have to be comfortable with the emotions that I'm feeling at times. I can't just like push it off or feel like it's wrong to be upset or this or that. So like I've learned that it's okay to have emotion and not be okay and accept that. This is a big thing for me. Like if there's something that's affecting me or a problem, it can seem like a small problem to someone, but it matters and it is an issue to me. So like don't push it away. That's what my therapist was like saying a lot. Like if it's an issue to you and if someone else makes it seem like it's not, like that's their own problem. Like it matters.
Yeah.
Even
Yeah.
small little problems, they matter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah, I love, like, I know a lot of people get individual therapy or couples therapy, but like sibling therapy could actually
talked
be.
about
We
this.
have.
Yeah,
We
I feel
actually
like that
have.
could be a new thing. I'm sure that exists to some
Yeah,
extent,
it
but
does.
Oh, yeah.
I think you guys could really popularize it. So what
we'll
is, getting into a little bit more detail, so what is one argument that you guys have gotten into where you don't see eye to eye on something?
Okay, this has been like the consistent one for the past like 6 months, like why we've been arguing. I've been arguing that we haven't been spending enough time together as sisters. And then like we got in a huge fight, basically saying like, I'm sad because I feel like I don't hang out with you. And then she's like, but we live together. I'm like, yeah, but we're working. We're not actually going to hang out. We're not going to the park. We're not like going to get dinner. And for me, I think she's so comfortable with like being an independent woman, which is so important, that I wasn't comfortable with that yet. I need her, like, she was my second half. And I think she's starting to find her own like individual like personality, which is so amazing, which twins eventually will do. But I think she like
I think that
matured.
scared you a little
it
bit,
scared
too.
me, and she matured way more on that side than I have. And still I'm struggling with it, but I'm like trying to deal with it. I'm trying to go do things on my own, which is terrifying. Like just waking up in the morning and like going to get coffee without her, I'm like, I feel like something's missing. Like, you know, so that has been a consistent argument. And
which is like sad on my end because then it
sad.
makes me feel bad. I'm like, I understand why you're sad.
But you're not doing anything wrong. It was
Right.
both of us just not understanding that we're growing in different ways. And I just haven't gotten to that point yet where I'm like an independent woman. But I've been trying. You have.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I'm glad you noticed.
I'm glad you noticed because I think I was seeing some comments too under our videos like, I think this is becoming more independent. Like we'd love to see it. Like she's really finding herself, which for us has always been so hard because like our identity is just like twins.
It's never
It's like
Nisha.
it's like growing up. If I liked something, she didn't like it. One of us would have to change because we both had to like it or didn't like it. So like it was so funny. Like if growing up, she wanted to go somewhere, but I wanted to go. We'd compromise, like either both of us or none. Like we wouldn't just split up. It
wouldn't
was so
split up.
weird. But now we're getting to that point where we're like, no, it's okay. You can go do that, and I'll stay home.
You've practiced marriage before anyway.
Yeah.
I swear,
Right,
we'd be
married
great
couple.
in a relationship.
I just have this visual of you at home, like, no, it's okay. You can go, and you're like crying inside, like
Right,
by
like, deep
yourself in
down.
the room, eating ice cream, watching like rom-coms by yourself.
That's hilarious.
I get home,
No.
she's just hysterical crying in the room. I'm like, I left for 30 minutes last week.
You're like, I'm just gonna get the mail. That's it. Literally, you can come
Right.
with me if you want.
Or you get two
But-
coffees and you turn around and no one's there and you're like,
I know.
that's
and then there's
so
like
funny.
raindrops hitting the like the window, right? And there's like slow music
Literally,
playing.
a whole movie scene.
Yeah.
you know, we're talking about culture, we're talking about your religious heritage, the background you're focusing on. You're trying to really balance this background that you've had and this new world, which I think is so admirable, honestly. I think it's
you
gonna
so much.
open
Yeah.
up the door to so many young people feeling like,
course.
oh, I can live my values because I see
Right.
them do it and I can still be in this world, which is amazing. So congrats
so
for
much.
doing
I
that.
appreciate
Genuinely.
that. I
Like,
appreciate
really,
that.
You're really
it's really
positively
special.
impacting people.
Yeah,
That seriously
genuinely.
means a lot.
That's like
Genuinely.
that's all our goal is to do that. So thank you.
And I think that's amazing that that's even your goal. Like,
100%.
you know, it's amazing to see how self-aware you are. But then at the same time, you're targeted by people sliding into your DMs. You're targeted by people
Sure.
bringing that energy your way. How do you feel about dealing with that when you're both seen as people that, you know, people are targeting and wanting to date and wanting to be with and wanting to maybe not even date or be with, but just wanting
Right.
to slide into your DMs? How are you dealing with that?
I've
How does that go
learned the
down?
balance of not sharing too much online, especially when it comes from being interested in someone possibly, right? And even when people slide into my DMs, like I like to have more fun with it. I'm not too serious about it. And if I was, I would not be talking about it. Like that's how I am. So if I'm bringing something up about a guy messaging me or me messaging a guy, it's most likely not taken seriously because I'm willing to share it. And I don't care if it's necessarily ruined by the public's opinion, right? But when it comes to like really being serious about things, I choose not to be open about that in the public aspect, which like I've just learned also with being around other influencers that have done that. I've noticed the negative impact that it has on, which I'm sure maybe you guys have, you know, possibly related it to, you know, your relationships where when you share too much, you can read things and be like, oh, like they're saying this about us, like, is it true? But like, no, our relationship seems secure, like blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, that makes me nervous, having that third outlook or opinion that I don't really need because they're not in the relationship with me, you know what I mean? So it's definitely a balance, a challenge that I've learned, especially being people that are representing a lot of Muslims. It's tough because there's a lot that we're doing wrong, right? We're not the perfect representation, and I say that all the time, and I try to be better, right? But and I want to be that role model to a lot of people, but also a lot of things that we could be doing can be seen as wrong. Living with guys is one, right? So
Like the shirt we're wearing should not be wearing
revealing,
this. Like,
and it's like
been so hard.
very difficult because we want to be that representation, but also we're not the perfect people to be. So it's still a learning process for the both of us.
That's why I think we're both trying to be very more open online, especially about like that we're not perfect Muslims. Because like for the longest time, like we would do something wrong and that would be the entire comment section about like.
I posted a video today of me waking up at 7 a.m. Going to the gym. The first comment I get is, oh, so happy you woke up and went to the gym, but maybe consider praying Fajr early in the morning while you're up too. And I'm like,
it's like, would you know if we did?
Would you know if I did,
didn't?
first of all? Second of all, like, I am allowing myself that judgment, which is tough.
Yeah. I think we're both, especially now, trying to, that's like one of the biggest challenges, besides us just like arguing all the time, is showing that balance of like, like our religion and making that public, because like we said, I mean, for the longest time, we tried to seem like we were perfect, which was our own fault. Like we tried to
Everyone
make us,
does,
you know, and then
course.
you get to a point where you're doing it for so long that you're like,
Am I
maybe
being
I'm helping,
myself?
maybe I'm helping people more if I show that I'm not perfect, so they don't feel as bad. Because for the longest time, like, you know, a lot of the comments would be like so positive and so great, and then once we start showing like the real us, it's like, well, now some people are starting not to like us, but then we're also gaining a huge audience of people that can like really
Relate
understand.
totally.
And
To
I
the
think,
harder things.
yeah, I think it was so great. Like I like that we're even representing that side to us, because growing up when we would watch all these YouTubers and TikTokers and these influencers or actors, like you didn't really see much representation of any of us. So it was kind of like, I want to be that for someone. And the fact that, you know, we could be that for someone now was like our end goal. And like, we want to keep that growing, because
doing it.
we always wanted that
appreciate it.
representation from someone, but we never got it. So it's
Yeah.
like, I hope someone gets,
And when we
takes that
did,
away.
we'd latch onto it.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
attach to that person.
I'm sure you guys know Lily Singh.
Yeah,
I grew
know
up
really well. Yeah.
we
watching her
watched her religiously.
Yeah.
Just
Oh,
because
yeah.
she was brown, and I was like, oh, like I can just, you know, understand her in aspects of like her showing her parents, right? And you love that, and you run with it, and you stick to it, and you like. I looked up to her for so long
We
because I
watched
was like,
every daily
oh, like,
vlog of
I'm not
hers
alone
for
right.
years.
And it's like, I'm just glad that people can now be like, oh, like my parents are like that too, or that's, you know, how I am.
Yeah.
It's just great for that. You know,
Yeah.
I'm sure you guys are the same way. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And it's great that we're able to be that role model to people that, you know, that need it.
Yeah.
I couldn't help but think, as you mentioned, the idea of like, well, how do they know before you went to the gym that you didn't
Sure.
pray or do these other things? I could see that as being a funny TikTok, right? Where you actually show
Mostly
like
about content.
Yeah, I know.
I love that. I'll write the
Well,
ideas.
a lot of times, like, you know, if you can kind of go into the humor of these
Oh, definitely.
stereotypes
Yeah.
or whatnot, I think it's
People
a great
won't
way
take
to
it as seriously.
exactly, and it's a great way of just showing what the reality is and the struggle of being a creator. So you should show yourself like, you know,
actually so
praying,
good.
like making
And then I go
breakfast,
to the
like
phone
doing
and I
all
read it,
these,
and I'm like,
yeah. Doing all these amazing things, and then 7 a.m. is the first time that you create something, like
Right.
post something online, and then you get all this judgment from
Yeah.
it.
wow, that's really clever. actually.
Take my
Yeah.
clothes. Right
Yeah, I really. I'll give you credit.
Yeah. I can also imagine the challenges that you guys have faced, like living in a content house, right? Like, so as of right now, what you're moving out of is the Triller house. Is that correct? Or?
One, yes.
It's one of them that we live in.
Okay, it's one of them.
Yeah.
So what's it like living in a content house, and why are you guys moving out?
When we first moved to LA, we moved into a content house with like 8 other people, and that was very interesting. And then that was a year.
That
and
was
then
called the compound.
That was the compound.
Okay.
And then we moved out of there and moved to another house, which is where we are now. And we have only one other roommate, but he also does content. It's our friend Nate. It was a very interesting experience the first year we did it. Now, like, we're super close with him, so he just is like
Kinda
our
just
brother.
feels like a roommate,
Yeah,
yeah.
it feels like a roommate. But we're moving out because, I mean, our lease is ending. But like, we could have moved in with other friends and stuff like that. But I think we're both at the point now that we're like, how much more, this is gonna sound bad, but it shouldn't. How much more is that gonna benefit us? Like, I feel like we can be,
We did what it could.
It did what it could. It was
Gotcha.
amazing. We had the best time of our life. But now I think we should prioritize Mian twins. Like, that should be our priority. Not people knowing us from the compound or from our roommates or from our friends. They should know us as us. So I think we're both trying to figure out what are we and like how are we going to build that and like make that a future career and, you know, have that be, you know, our own thing. We both for so long where I think we're so stressed about like how we can stand out. And I think a lot of our content, like, it even showed people were like, we feel like we're losing the twin aspect of things, like just you two together, because we always had our friends in our videos. So I think we're both like, you know, now it's time to really show us too. So we're moving in together. We're gonna, you know, do a lot more like vlog style, a lot more raw content, so people could really see our personalities and not
Yeah.
just watch us lip syncing, looking pretty in a TikTok. Like, I feel like we're both so over that, and I think we just want to turn everything into a more realistic, I
Right.
guess, lifestyle change, whatever. I don't know.
Especially like the houses we were living in were so beautiful, but it also was not realistic.
It's not realistic.
So it was like, we're so grateful that we could have experienced those things, but like, let's take a step back and realize like, this isn't reality. This isn't what
Definitely.
everyone kind of lives like. And
Even
we're,
to
we're
say-
just glad to kind of be like living real life, like real
Yeah.
life, if
Yeah,
that makes
yeah.
sense.
I was gonna
in a
say,
weird
even
way.
to say that we haven't done laundry, like when you said that, I was like,
I hate even
like I'm
saying
excited
that.
to go back to do my own laundry. Like we were so blessed that like whatever, like Triller, who was the one that was paying for a house, like had people do everything for us. So like that's unrealistic, you know? It's
Not
real.
everyone
Not
has
everyone
that.
has that. Well, like we have to wash dishes too, you know? So I think we're both excited to go back to like normal for like the rest of
Doing chores.
to do chores. I don't know why.
Getting mad at who throws out the trash.
We're excited for that. Like that's crazy to say, but we are.
Yeah, when you start doing chores, you have to invent a third person, because then instead of being passive aggressive to each other, you're passive aggressive to this third triplet.
Right,
So you
like
come up with an imaginary name.
Okay, we have to do this.
We'll have to.
And so my wife, for some reason, picked elves. So she just goes, the elves just left the shoes at the door today.
Wait, we have two cats. We'll just say the cats did.
Yeah, the
Okay,
cats,
perfect.
yeah. So she went, the elves didn't wash the dishes tonight. And she just picks on elves.
You
And
know,
I'm
I
just
think that those same elves come by our house now that I think about it.
Oh, that's so clever.
Isn't it funny how like everyone imagines success to be, you know, having a lot of staff around, like not having to do laundry, not having to cook, having everything on autopilot. And it's so interesting to me that once you finally experience those things of whatever that idea of success is, you almost start to miss the simplicity of things.
Definitely.
And I think I read that Bill Gates washes his own dishes.
Yeah.
And there's a certain therapy in it, right? But it's also like an ability to think creatively, detach from like whatever's going on in your life. So I think doing your laundry is, you know, kind of underrated.
I'm
Like,
going to check up on you,
gonna
Dhar. I'm going to be checking up on you, Dhar. All right, you said it. I'm going to be checking up and messaging Laura again. Did Dhar do his laundry this week? Get Ella roast.
I know, I opened up a whole can of worms.
Yeah, you
You're like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have said that.
Yeah.
No, but I'd say this, for a while, I thought success equaled money, right? And that's kind of what we're like taught in a way at like some points in our life. But something I've realized was I truly believe success equals happiness. So like when will I be successful? I think it's when I'm truly happy. And like, yeah, money's great. It's fun. You get to do cool things with it. And at times it can solve a lot of problems. I'm not gonna bash that and say that's not true, because it sure does. But I think that when, for me at least, from my experiences, I've realized that success wasn't, you know, because I made money. It was because like at times when I'm like genuinely happy with life, I'm like, I feel like I've succeeded. Like this is what great life feels like. So now when I work towards goals, and you as well, I think we both are chasing happiness more than
The dollar sign.
Yeah, the dollar sign or materialistic things.
Yeah. In the beginning, it's very different. When we first started doing it, it was like,
oh,
okay,
like,
like
it's
great,
nice.
it's money, money, money. Like you, because we didn't grow up with a lot of it, you know? And that was like the end goal. Like, how can we be stable for the rest of our life? And now it's like, once you get to that point, it's so sad to say, because everyone's like, oh, you're only saying that because you have it now. It's like, no, like money is essential to live, of course, but you get to a point where you realize it doesn't make you happy. And I think Khloe Kardashian said it in an interview, and she got so much hate for it. Everyone's like, well, of course, it's because you grew up with it. It's because you have it now. It's like,
Which, yes, it will solve.
Yes, it does solve issues. I will not like discredit that, but it should never be your motive for whatever you're doing. You should do it because you want to do it. You shouldn't do something because you don't want to do it. That's what I think.
Yeah, I think the challenge is when we equate money equaling mental and emotional peace.
Okay, yeah.
And it's
definitely
what you're saying, that I agree with you fully too. I'm a big believer that money, as you both rightly said, takes care of so many important things, and everyone should figure out a financial plan for their lives.
Definitely.
But it's when you think a certain number will take away your anxiety, that's not happening.
Yeah.
Or when you think a particular number or salary or deal takes away your emotional stress, pressure, or
healthy.
relationship issues, that's not gonna, it's not healthy. So I feel you're right in drawing that line. And it's great to hear you both say that at 21, because, you know, I think most people are chasing it more at that age rather than managing it effectively and doing that. So that's super wise.
Do you guys know who the Stokes twins are?
Yeah, we filmed with them a while ago.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, they're amazing.
They're awesome.
We've done a couple collabs with them. One of the videos that I did with them is one of the brothers was really good at school, the other one was really good at work, and so they would often trade lives. And so I'm curious to know, what's like the craziest thing you've gotten away with as a twin?
Ooh,
Okay,
oh gosh. So we switched classes every April Fools in school.
Okay.
So when we were in 4th grade, we switched classes. We ended up getting detention. So that wasn't fun.
How'd you get caught?
Because this girl told on us.
No, I think it was the guy though.
Well, okay, no one knows
two
who it was.
people.
Yeah, it was two people. that
What are
told
their
on us.
names?
Should we rat them out?
Yeah,
Sebastian and Jenna. One of you. Both. One of you guys. I don't know.
But we would switch classes, and then we did it in high school. And high school, like, they loved it. Everyone had such a great time. Like, teachers didn't really care.
They found it funny.
Yeah, they found it funny. I think the craziest thing we've done is she took my English final for me in college. and I got a better grade than she did.
And I wrote it. And I can't even I can't
it.
wrap myself out. And I have to end up with like a B. She gets the A. I'm like, I wrote it though.
I think that's a crazy
And she's like,
thing.
oh, my GPA is higher. I'm like, because of me. If it wasn't for me writing
We were
that.
so competitive in school.
So you've never taken like the other person's like driving test or something?
No, but we don't have our license.
Oh, you don't have your wow.
Okay.
That's the New York.
I will say I would like if she took mine because I'm not the best driver.
I'm not getting in a car with her.
I'm
So
not getting
you
in a
don't know
car
how to
with myself.
drive. Like you've never driven a car.
I drive.
practiced.
I probably shouldn't say that. I don't have my license yet. But I drive like around my area for practice.
Okay.
I do great. I don't go anywhere crazy, but
Yeah.
we've been working on getting our license. But it's been so hard because we have like a New York permit. And here they're like, you need a California permit first. And you have to do this and you have to do that.
It's
so
just been, we've been
it's been
pushing
a
it off.
mess.
Okay.
But
And you drive sometimes on Grand Theft Auto.
Oh,
for
yeah.
Right.
practice, yeah.
No, I
Does that
really,
count?
I'm like scared to go behind the wheel. Like, I don't know why.
Wow.
I get like anxiety from it. I'm just used to taking the subways in
That's
New York
right.
and all that.
So that
But
makes sense.
that's a later problem when I decide to fix it.
We're living in a culture right now where a lot of conversation, and this is something we've been talking about a lot. It's why we started this show as well. Like, you watch a lot of content and it's all about things like body count and how many people you've kissed and this kind of stuff. And you see that going more and more viral. And, you know, Dar's a dad. I'm not a dad yet, but I often think about it. And I'm like, okay, like,
You've got elves though.
I've got elves. Yeah. I'm like, how would I think about it differently when I have a kid? When I think
course.
about them being exposed to this and that younger generation, like following, you know, this group
Scary.
of people. Like we asked someone else who was on the show the other day, like if he'd let his daughter date any of his friends if they were the same age.
Right.
And he was like, no,
Absolutely
like,
not.
he definitely would not. And you know, that's the kind of stuff that we start thinking about as you get older. Like, how do you think about that? Like when you're in this industry that operates on such different values,
Yeah.
or different levels. And again, I'm not saying anything's right or wrong. I'm just saying
course.
Agreed.
people have their different, and I'm totally very flexible with that. I just start thinking about, as you get older, you start thinking about kids and people
Of
growing up
course.
in a world that you're creating. So
Yeah, it's honestly, it's a little scary and nerve-wracking, of course, because like even if you go, because we don't post our bodies on social media. Like if you look on our Instagram, like we don't have any bikini pictures. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. That's just because of who we are and like how we grew up. But if you go on TikTok and you search like Mian twins and then put a space, it's like showing their body in a bikini. And it's like, this is what
Kissing,
people are really
dating.
searching.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's so sad to say because like, you know, some people, if let's say their views aren't doing as well, they're like, okay, what can I do? Like one of those things that will get me more views again, that will like, you know, bring me that. And I'm like, is that even making you happy? Like, don't do it because you feel like you have to, do it because you want to. So for us, it's scary because, you know, seeing those like comments or seeing
It's like
those
we know what
searches,
people are
it's-
trying to see from us.
trying
We
to
know the
look for.
content that they'd probably be like, whoa, you know, the engagement would be great. It's like people clearly are searching it and wanting to see that, but we just know we're not going to be happy with ourselves if we were to. So like, but it's also scary. Like you said, it's like my kids are going to grow up in a world where these things are admired almost. Like doing this is seen as like better. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong, but from the way I was raised and how I plan to raise my kids, it's like, how am I going to
protect them
from that? And, you know, I'm still confused on that thought. Like,
that's
scary.
that's right. And have you had friends who, and again, I'm not asking you to name names. It's more to have that conversation, like you're saying, of people who do things for the views or for the engagement, and then afterwards they're like to you, but I wish I didn't do that. Even if have you experienced that? Like, have you had those kind of conversations with creators?
Yeah. You know, I've kind of even done that. I almost did like an internet relationship, but like ship online for a while. And oh, do I regret it? I don't regret it because it wasn't even a relationship and I had such a great friendship with someone. But because we turned it into something it really wasn't, and we kind of like, we noticed that our fans loved the idea of us being together, right? So we kind of ran with that idea, even though we're just very, very close friends. And sometimes we both think we're like, maybe if we didn't go down that more couple-y path, we wouldn't have these fan accounts being really upset about us two not being together.
Yeah.
And that's something I regret a little bit, and I think he does as
can see
well.
that.
And I've heard that with past, like, you know, these like couples on social media that kind of regret not necessarily faking it, but showcasing something that wasn't as real as it maybe seemed.
It's like reality TV. When
Right. It's like, you know, you're gonna fantasize things, you're gonna give the people what they want, but now they're creating this idea that doesn't really exist. And it's like, yeah, that is our fault for doing that. And do we regret it? Like, yeah, maybe we're not so happy with the choices. But you learn from it, and then you're like, you know, you become closer with that person. So we've established, like, you know, it was something that, you know, people enjoyed at one point, but we're just friends. And it's like, I've noticed that that's a problem that a lot of
people have online.
Influencers have had, yeah.
Yeah, we all make mistakes. I mean, we definitely have made mistakes online as well. But my biggest thing is like I hate cancel culture because let's say another 21-year-old did something that I did, but I did it online, I would be bashed. I would be canceled because I did something bad. But if it was another 21-year-old, their friends would be like, get over it, it's fine. They forget about it the next day. You made a mistake. It's normal to make mistakes. People forget that we're human.
Absolutely.
Like the same thing with celebrities or whatever. Like they forget they're human.
We're learning.
Like I saw a video of like Billie Eilish performing on stage and someone just throwing flowers at her. Like you think you're doing a nice gesture, but you forget she's a human. Like you're throwing something at her and like it hits her and she literally kicks it. And I'm like, good for her. Like it's so sad. People idolize these people and forget they actually have emotion. They have like mental illness sometimes, you know, they overthink, they cry, they get upset. People think we're robots, you know? They only see us through the screen. They don't think that we're like actually like real humans.
Yeah.
So, I mean, for the longest time, I'm sure we even did that too. Like they're so perfect or we look at them online, like I wish I was like them, but you forget that they're actually human. So
Well
it's
said.
been
We're all
a
the same.
very,
Well said.
very interesting process. I think we're so blessed compared to like other people that have to go through it alone. Like if I didn't have her like by my side when I'm sitting there reading like mean comments and crying about it one day, I don't know what I would do. I think I would stop. I don't think I'd still be doing social media. I think I would have been gone a long time ago. It takes so much it's like strength for people to do that alone. Like even her, like she gets upset and has a bad day and like I will be there for her. But people don't have that. So I think we are so lucky to be twins that we have that person like always holding our hand. Most people don't have that. So it's a blessing to have.
That was really cute.
Yeah, that was beautiful. That was like very heartwarming.
Very touching.
Well, it's
Jay
true.
was looking at me in that moment too. Like I feel that way.
I was just trying to get a reaction, but there's no reaction.
I have a delay, so whenever he looks at me, by the time you look away, I look at you, just so you know. We'll see that on the podcast. I'm always a
Find
second
someone that
delay.
looks at you like I look at them.
I know.
That's what you do. That's what
Yeah.
it is in
That's
life.
funny.
No, I love that.
Aisha does right. You are literally so fun to hang out with. I
love
hope this
that.
is not the only time that we get to do this.
Agreed.
I
I
hope we
love
get to
that.
do this off camera. Honestly,
Yes,
it'd be so fun to hang
definitely.
out,
Yes.
and
We'll all
such,
get Indian food together.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
that sounds
yeah.
fun.
We're such big fans of both of you, and
Thank
to meet
you.
you in person and to experience your energy. And you were just absolutely wonderful from the moment we arrived together today.
I know,
Yes.
and we
same
came in, and just from the moment you arrived and we met you, just we feel so much warmth and so much love and just such positive energy from both of you.
You
So,
guys as well. Like
thank
we
you.
always get like a little bit of like not social anxiety, but you know when you meet someone new, you're like, I don't know if they're gonna be good at talking, and we like to talk. So we're like, this is just easy. It was great.
It
Such
flowed.
Yeah.
It was
yeah,
great.
we're so grateful. But yeah, we're gonna end as we always do with a rapid fire round.
Okay.
Right.
With both of you, and we're gonna have to do an answer from each of you.
Okay.
You're the first twins we've ever had on the show.
Oh, an honor.
Yeah. So this is gonna be we're gonna go back and forth. But
Okay,
yeah, we'll do our
Yeah.
rapid fire round. And
Okay. What's the most famous person that has slid into either of your DMs?
No one crazy's really slid in my DMs, but she's had some crazy ones.
Okay, so pick one.
Tell
Who
all
you're
of
gonna
them.
pick. Okay, ready?
Top three.
2, 1. Chris Brown. Was a
Well,
good
this
one.
is her. This is all her DMs. Who's the next one?
Kevin Durant. I don't want to say anymore. Those are two of the pretty big
she
ones.
got some crazy ones.
and how do you respond?
You know what's funny? They both DM'd in the same way. It was just waving hand emoji. I'm like, let's get creative here, you know? But I just I don't know. I don't like to entertain things if I know it's not going to be anything crazy. But it seemed like very friendly conversation. So I was just like, it was like a, hey, how are you? Very short conversation, nothing else. But they're nice people from what I've said. The few words of exchange
what you've
with them.
read.
From what I've read, that's
Yeah.
true.
What's one thing you do well that your sister doesn't?
Okay.
You do time management well. I suck at that.
Okay, I would have said me time management. I feel like you suck at no.
We suck at it.
I just suck at everything.
It's meant to be the other way around.
It's the other
We were
way
trying
around.
to do it.
Oh, wait, really?
No, you did it good.
Okay. Wait, no. So I don't know.
Oh wow, you discovered today that there's nothing.
There's
that Aisha does
nothing. I'm
better.
just creating everything. Okay.
No, I feel like you're really good at staying motivated,
Okay.
which sometimes I can lose motivation and like it's terrible.
Oh,
You're
but
good
I
at
would say
staying
that
motivated.
about you.
Oh, interesting.
Interesting. I guess we just are really hard on ourselves.
Yeah. That's kind of sad.
All wonderful that you
Yeah,
figured
no,
out.
you figured it
today.
out. Right?
Yeah. What was the worst part about living in a content house?
Having people over that we didn't want.
Yeah. It didn't feel like a home. It felt like a frat house. I would have said the same exact answer.
Yeah.
It just
Like
didn't feel
when I
like
walk
a
out of my
home.
room, why are there 4 people sleeping on the couch? I don't know you. It's like you don't feel comfortable.
Yeah.
I didn't enjoy that as much.
I mean, you guys compliment each other so much, but I'm curious to know, there must be some quality that you don't like about the other person.
Oh, yes.
Ooh. She has really bad RBF. So I think she's like mad or like in a bad mood, and then I can get like in a bad mood, but that she could actually be fine.
She's giving it to you right now, by the way.
Oh, yeah. Give your RBF.
Come on.
It is really bad. I've learned that it's a problem. I look less approachable.
Something that, wait, one more thing. Oh, I'm not.
Oh, just go off then, I guess.
I am. No kidding. I would say that you're not a morning person because like when I wake up, I'm very happy, and she needs to like be quiet in the morning.
Like,
she
don't
needs a
speak to
second.
me.
And the fact that she's not a morning person doesn't set my day up right sometimes, and then I get upset.
Yeah. That's something that upsets
That's 2. Number 3. Go on.
Yeah.
Okay, if we're gonna go crazy, guys, this is what I really wanted to talk about.
Something that you do that bothers me. I would say, I would just say sometimes when I want to be alone, you don't give that to me,
That's
and then
true.
I
I'm
can
annoying.
be harsh on her. But not that you're annoying, but like you're
Clingy.
dependent. Very
Clingy.
Yeah.
I am clingy, honestly.
clingy.
I'll
I would
say
say
it.
clingy is something that bothers me. Like,
Okay.
I didn't say
Fair
you
enough.
said it, yeah.
right. I would say that's like one thing that I'm just like sometimes just like I need
Leave
a
me
second.
alone.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah,
know what's-
that's not good.
Was it so? I'm mornings, like for whatever reason, I'm also kind of sensitive as to other people's energy.
Same.
And Laura kind of does her own thing, and she's totally fine. So one rule that we have is whenever one person wakes up, the first thing that you do is text the other person, "I love you." And like just good morning, I love you. And because you wake up at different times or whatever. And so that way the first thing you see when you open your eyes is something positive and something
Wow.
affectionate from the person that you care about. And it's made my
changes
days
your
go,
day.
it changes my
We
whole
love a
energy in the
healthy
morning.
relationship.
And then naturally you respond with like, thanks, I love you too, or have a great day. And it sets the tone for the day. So,
That's
I
why
love you.
I-
Yeah.
The dishes are still not
so I'm
done.
expecting
That's the third message
the,
under it.
the
After I
elves
love
left
you.
the dishes behind. So I'm
Sorry,
expecting
you
that.
said so.
Oh no, I was gonna say I actually started doing something for the past couple of months that really helped. It sounds stupid, but it actually works. Like when you first open your eyes and you wake up, smile, literally at nothing. Like you're
Yeah.
gonna laugh at yourself. Do that for 10 seconds and just like, it's gonna be a good day. Tell yourself like whatever
Yeah.
affirmations. And I swear, like
It
you
changes-
actually
uplifts
changes
you.
your day.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's great.
I love that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I should start doing that.
I'm joking.
Who's your parents' favorite?
Ozra.
Me.
Why?
I'll even say it. I don't know.
She's
they think,
really hardworking and always helps around the house.
that's true. That's what they will say. And they think Aisha's like
The ditz.
the sneaky like
Which is crazy because she
one.
likes to go out and party and I don't.
don't
I'm
like
like,
to go
Mom,
out
I'm
and
in bed by
party."
9 p.m. You don't have to worry about me. Like, why am I not the favorite? But
I can't believe your parents are that
I
obvious.
think our
about
dad's
it.
favorite. I don't know.
I think I might because my dad's more of like a fun guy. So he's more like I like joke around. So he probably has more fun joking around. with
maybe.
me.
Yeah.
But definitely your mom's favorite. 100%.
What are your nicknames for each other?
We don't have any.
have any.
Just recently, our friend group started
Oh
calling
my
me
God.
Shoo Shoo Bear.
You're
I'm
Zuzu
Zuzu Bear?
and she's Shushu.
I don't know
Zuzu
why.
and Shushu. I don't know. They just made that up, but we have pretty short names, so
Yeah.
we don't really have nicknames for each other.
This one's good. How do you differentiate between men and boys? We saw your TikTok recently.
There's a big difference. So my friend Kellyanne, who we used to live with, she used to always tell us, because like we tell her about like boy problems or whatever, and she'd be like, "That's a boy, not a man." And she goes, "I have a man," because like she's married now, which at the time they were engaged, and she's like, "There's a huge difference. Like once they start prioritizing you, and
I think maturity
it's
is
never
the biggest
even
thing that differentiates it.
and it's never even a question of like how much do they love me." She goes, "That's a man,"
Yeah.
or like I
a man's
think it's
not
more
afraid
about
to
mature
showcase his feelings towards the woman,
Yeah.
which is different for everyone. But I think that's like the
maturity.
yeah,
the
like
biggest
definitely not
difference.
age. I wouldn't say age.
I wouldn't
is,
say age either.
separation between men and boys. It's definitely more about
There could be some 20, 21-year-olds who are men because they're actually mature and they have priorities. And there could be some 27, 28-year-olds that are like, you're a boy still,
Yeah.
They just don't have that priority straight. I think it's like more about mentality and like,
yeah.
the
Have-
goals.
Have you ever liked the same guy?
When we were
When we were in like
really young,
high school. Yeah, we were in like high school. Like
we
sophomore
ended
year.
up meeting this guy. And we're still like friendly with him, but we got in the car after hanging out with him that day, and we
Well,
both
no.
go.
Explain this part. It's our best friend's. It was our best friend's brother.
Okay.
This
Yeah.
guy.
Okay.
So we went over to her house. We never met her brother before. and
And
we
we're
were
both
like,
we get in the car after hanging out. We both go. I call dibs. And we're like, how
At
are we
the
gonna
same
settle
time,
this?
or
Same
were you
exact
9 minutes
time.
early?
We got in the car.
Did
and
you
both
tell
said
your
it.
friend?
Gosh, no.
no.
I think they had an idea.
I think they know now.
So how
but
did that resolve?
he has a
Neither of us
girlfriend.
called him. Yeah.
And he has a girlfriend now, so nothing ever happened.
But we
Prices
both have very
averted.
different types now.
Yeah.
So
Imagine you never talk to each other over that.
right?
Imagine.
Splits us.
So you have different types, so you can't date twins then.
I don't think we would.
Yeah.
No, probably not.
You never say never, but
Yeah.
I mean, we're different. We're actually maybe not because we're super different as twins, and maybe another set of twins are super different.
Yeah, maybe it would actually. That would be interesting.
That would be weird.
Twins dating twins.
Awesome. That was it, guys.
Yeah.
Very
Thank
good.
you, guys.
Come
That
back
was
to
a lot
us
of
with the
fun,
music
so.
one. Come back on the song one. Next
know.
time I see you. Next time I see
I
you.
swear, next
yeah.
time I'll
Next
have an
time.
answer ready.
I know. We're gonna think about it once you're in the car. And
Yeah,
the
yeah.
song
I'm
Right,
gonna
plays.
open my phone.
I'll
be like,
text you guys.
song
I
that
figured it out.
Yeah. I love
awesome.
it. I love it. That was awesome, guys.
Thank
Well
you.
done.
Yeah, amazing job,
Great work,
guys.
everyone.
It was a lot of fun.